Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 210 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on May 7th, 2024. How are all you wonderful folks doing? Yeah, I hope you're doing well. I just want to let you know that the data and analysis elves have been hard at work, day and night, tirelessly, to bring you the most comprehensive Surefire RC3 performance data and analysis in the world. PEW Science continues to be the only entity characterizing Surefire rifle silencers in an accurate and actionable format, and today's no different. So published with today's podcast episode, if you are not listening super early in a different time zone, and if you're not a night owl or something, there exists on the website Sound Signature Review 6.151. So in that white paper, there are not only two separate tests of the RC3 on the MK18 with the three-prong flash hider and the closed-tine WARCOMP flash hider mount, but there's also a PEW Science member case study in the white paper itself comparing the performance of the two mounts. So PEW Science members are getting a lot today. That's right. The article is very long. Please enjoy. What I'm going to do is I'll give you a quick intro on today's episode. Okay, so buckle up for this one. It will be controversial, except to the people who have actually shot the silencer and are honest with themselves. To those people, it should actually mirror their experiences exactly, which is always great. So also on this episode, I think we should hit some listener questions. Yeah, it's been a while, and it seems like a good idea. Okay, so we're going to do that first. We're going to get warmed up with that. Okay. So now, before we get all into all the nerd stuff, let me tell you a little bit about our gracious podcast sponsors that make this show possible. Because the J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right, because nothing you do, exercise, sports, autistic silencer analysis, is worth doing without consistency. You have to do something all the time if you want to be really, really good at it. And Legion Athletics can help. That's right. They got whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout stimulants, vitamins, minerals. They're minerals, Marie. No, that's from a show. Do they have everything you need? Nah, but they have a lot of it. Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. Code word PEW Science to save 20% off of your first order. That's right. And if you keep using that code, you'll get double loyalty points every time you buy something, every time you buy supplements and stuff. And then when you redeem your loyalty points, you'll get net 10% off everything forever. Really. So just keep using the code word PEW Science and you save money. Help the podcast get strong. It's important. The podcast is also brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston. If you're in the Houston area, if you're just passing through, you're really going to want to go to that range. It's a 15-lane indoor shooting range. There's a gun store in there. Largest firearm rental fleet in the whole state of Texas. You can rent pistols and rifles and shotguns and silencers and machine guns. You can put the silencers on the guns, shoot them at their range. Yeah, you're doing it indoors, so it's not truly representative of something you're going to do all the time, but man, is that still helpful for you when you're making your decisions. Okay, you just get some experience shooting a suppressed weapon system, which can really be great. Okay, so check out their firearm rental inventory on their website at topgunrange.com. And you can also find them on Instagram at Top Gun Range. They love when you DM them. They told me that. They're like, DM. They were like, Jay, tell strangers to DM us at like 3 a.m. all the time and then get mad when they don't respond. That's what they told me, so don't shoot the messenger. This episode is also brought to you by High-End Armament Technologies out of Oklahoma. Have you woken up in the middle of the night and just really wanted to spend $10,000 on a thermal weapon sight, but didn't know who to call? You're in luck. Please call Robert and his crew at High-End Armament Technologies, and they can help you. They have significant expertise in both procurement and operation of night vision, thermal optics, infrared sighting systems, lasers, things like that. Check them out at highendarms.com, on Instagram at highendarms, and they even have a Facebook page, which is also easy to find, High End Arms. I hope they can help you folks out. If you need it, tell them Jay sent you. This episode is also brought to you by Silencer Shop, the preeminent distributor of silencer wares in the United States. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors, you simplify your silencer purchasing process, you get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with less drama than other alternatives. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. And, they got a good dealer network. They help the little guy with inventory control and margin maintenance. I just made that up. It's probably true. I'm not a dealer. I don't know, but if you are, contact Silencer Shop. Finally, and most importantly, let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? This podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. I'm the technical director of the lab, and in the interest of public education, the lab sponsors this podcast, and it runs a public research effort which continues to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You're going to get some great research today directly to the public, funded by the public, for the public, with the Surefire stuff, the RC3. It's amazing. You can visit PEWScience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections. The most in-depth and accurate silencer data analysis in the known universe, and it's all available to the public 24/7 at PEWScience.com. Check it out. And you can support this podcast. You can support PEW Science. You can support all of the public testing that we do, like the stuff you're going to see today, by joining with a membership at PEWScience.com. That's right. There's even a donate feature on the review page and the podcast page. Every little bit helps. You can throw us a bone. Contribute $1, contribute 10,000, whatever you want to do. No, but something that's free and doesn't cost you anything at all is to give the podcast a good rating on Spotify or iTunes. Write a great review. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell your kids. And we can let folks know that silencers guns are awesome. So normalize the use of suppressed small arms and get this going. Make technology advance so that we can get cooler stuff. That's really what we're doing here. So I got 2 topics for you today, and frankly, they're both pretty cool. Topic 1, listener questions are back. That's right. We're going to hit some more from the 6th solicitation. Thank you, as always, for your participation in these. And, thank you for making the PEW Science public research effort and education effort the best in the industry and the best in the world. I mean, you guys have done this, right? And you're all cut above it. Everyone that listens to this podcast, everyone that participates in this, everyone that checks out the research, you know the most. You know the most about silencers, about more than anyone in the world. I guarantee it. And you're making it happen. So you should be very proud of that. Topic 2, Sound Signature Review 6151. That's right. The Surefire SOCOM556-RC3 on the standard 10.3-inch MK18, 2 mounts, 3-prong and closed-tine WARCOMP, both flash hiders. Is it the same old conclusion, guys? No, actually, it's not. So we'll give a quick introductory discussion of this white paper published with this episode. This is a very high demand publication. I am elated that we could get it done for you. Okay, so we'll move into topic 1 at a time of 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Oh man, could have done 8 minutes and 8 seconds. That would have been cooler. All right, 1 second. Okay. Topic 1, listener questions are back. That's right. 6th solicitation. Sunday. No. Wednesday. Yeah. Thank you as always for your participation. This is the best. We the best, as the rap song says. Yeah, so let's dive back in. You love this segment. I love this segment. It's been a minute. We got deep into the solicitation back at the end of March, I want to say. I think the last time we did it, I have in my notes, the last time we did it was episode 203. So here we are in episode 210, getting back into it. That's not too bad. It's overdue, but we're back. So let's pull up our trusty spreadsheet. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pull this up. Just so you guys know, while I'm getting this up here, just so you know, if you're curious where to find listener question episodes, if you go to pewscience.com/podcast, there's a metadata tag called listener questions, and you can click on that tag. It'll pull up every episode. If you have trouble finding the tag, then you can use the search box on the website to find it, but it will be on the episode today. So if you find the tag under episode 210, just click that, and then all of them will pop up, and you can go wild. All right, let's see where we are. Okay. Oh, this is cool. So last time we left off on question 470, if you can believe that, sub-question 56 of the 6th solicitation. And that question was, why is my 11.5-inch AR with a polonium quieter to shooters and bystanders than my 16-inch AR with a polonium K? Both of the guns have H2D buffers and adjustable gas blocks and the EST gas system. And essentially we used logic and PEW Science analysis and data that is published on the website publicly to explain why that would be the case. And I think if you would like to listen to the answer to that question in greater detail, please go back to, what was it? What did I say? Episode 202 or something like that? No, 203. And go check that out, okay? Okay. So with this episode, we'll kick off with question 471, local question 57. The subgun data set is the smallest. Does it represent the best performing cans in that class? Thank you for the question, sir. Actually, not to be pedantic, but I'm not sure the subgun data set is the smallest. I believe the 6.5 Creedmoor test is the smallest, considering there's only one gun on it. But no, I understand what you're saying. It's a good question. It's an interesting question, right? You're saying it's the smallest data set. So is this are these all the best things? Good question. It's a really good question. Given what we've published since you asked the question, it's interesting. But yeah, it just so happens that the subgun data set, specifically the MP5, the full-size MP5, the SP5, it just so happens that the subgun data set is one of those in the Silencer Sound Standard that so far contains tests only from client contracts. So every test you've seen published on a subgun on our website so far was funded by manufacturers thinking their silencer was going to perform at a level they would want to show the world, right? Logic would dictate that. You see how cool this is, though? So chances are, if a company comes to PEW Science for testing, they are confident in their product's performance. That's the chance, right? That's a probability. Now, there's a lot of data and analysis that doesn't get published. But I can tell you that a lot of the contracted work does get published. It does indeed. Or it will get published. And that's a testament to how great some of these companies and designers are. They're making really high-performing stuff, and they want to show the world, okay? So to answer your question, it's likely, so hit my microphone, sorry. It's likely that the current subgun dataset in the public data presentation is biased toward high performers because the nature of contracted testing involves companies that are very confident in their performance. Understand? So it's likely that the performance is actually good because they're confident in it, and the PEW Science Laboratory is going to uncover that performance, and then you're going to see it. I mean, that stands to reason. Now, let's not get super optimistic. You need to understand that and always remember that there are companies that are greatly mistaken that their silencers perform well. But that's going to happen all the time, and not only with silencers. No one likes it when you call their baby ugly, and every car manufacturer thinks they make a Ferrari. So, I'm being facetious, but I don't really mean that. But understand. So, yeah, the answer to your question is maybe. It might represent the best performing cans in the class, but don't forget there are a lot of silencers out there that we haven't tested, and just because we haven't tested them doesn't mean they're not great. I mean, there could be awesome ones, and hopefully we'll get to them. Okay, but yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know that anyone's asked that question quite like that, and it's something to think about because I don't know that we've touched on that. You guys do realize, I don't know. I haven't done the math, so I don't know what the ratio is of contracted tests to member-funded tests on the website. But I mean, when you look at the member-funded tests, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going backward. When you look at the contracted tests on the website, guys, and meaning for you guys new to PEW Science, that means professional service laboratory clients that have come to PEW Science under contract and they're paying professional services fees for testing analysis. When you look at all those, not every one is a super stellar performer, right? Just because someone pays a laboratory to test their stuff doesn't mean they're automatically going to get stellar results. If that were the case, then every single contracted test would be stellar, and then every single member-funded test would be in the toilet. When in fact, you'll see some of the quietest silencers in the PEW Science research pedigree are publicly funded and have nothing to do with the manufacturer. So you understand? So it's like you need to make sure not to fall into the weird social media and silencer manufacturer and dealer fallacy where they're going to try to manipulate you to believe something that's not true. Okay, you just need to use logic and look at the data analysis and use your brain, and you'll see that there's a pretty good spread. I mean, I want to say, gosh, what was the last contracted test we did? So Otter Creek, I don't know. Oh yeah, Otter Creek titanium, right? Yeah. Okay. Not a world beater, was it? Oh, maybe he didn't pay us enough. Right? Isn't that stupid? It's like a running joke. It's a running joke between with PEW Science clients. Like PEW Science clients joke about it because it's like they all joke. They're like, dude, if we could pay more, we would. It's like, yeah, too bad you can't. It doesn't work like that, right? Because the minute PEW Science fakes a result, we're done. Right? It would never work. This only works if you don't lie. Right? Duh, guys. Come on, man. Anyway, great question. I'm really glad you asked that. Question 472, sub-question 58. Can you please talk about why one might use a Surefire OBC or LMTE BCG? Buffer choices. Host is an 11.5-inch mid-length gas. Okay, that's a great question, sir. I'm glad you asked that. So let me kind of repeat that a little bit of a different way for folks who don't know what those acronyms are. This gentleman is asking, hey, let's talk about why you might want to pick a Surefire optimized bolt carry group or maybe an LMT enhanced bolt carry group, and what kind of buffer choices you might want to use. And I have my host is an 11.5-inch mid-length gas AR-15. Talk about use on that. So, okay, I can do that. I think I've done that several times, but I can sum it up pretty quickly with regard to the specific questions that you're asking about. Those specific components. So, in a word, the reason you might want to use bolt carrier groups like those is to mitigate early time functional issues, like perhaps your carrier is unlocking a little bit too early or something. Okay. Now, to be clear, the Surefire OBC is a completely different animal than the LMT enhanced carrier group. Okay. Those two, I understand there's a propensity to compare them, particularly because it's almost impossible to find the Surefire OBC, which is fine. I don't think they should be compared, and here's part of the reasons why. So the spring-loaded mass in the OBC for full auto fire and the truncated carrier key and the shorter buffer that together they lengthen the stroke of the system. They're amazing in the OBC, okay? And the OBC is my personal favorite. It's my personal favorite bolt carrier group because I shoot full auto too. And so that's my personal favorite. Like for me, dude, but that's me, okay? You don't have to use one. Now, the LMT system's great too, but all it shares with the Surefire system, it's that lengthened cam path, and it's not exactly the same, I don't think. It might be similar, but it does also have a lengthened cam path. A long time ago, and I talked about this years ago, I think. A long time ago, we did some tuned testing internally with mil-spec carrier, LMT carrier, and OBC. And what we did was we matched total mass, total system reciprocating mass across the three. And to do that, you simply use an H3 buffer, because if you look at the Surefire OBC plus its proprietary buffer, it weighs the same as mil-spec plus H3, and the LMTE weighs the same as mil-spec. So therefore, if you use an H3 buffer with a mil-spec carrier, you will get the same mass of an OBC. However, note that the mass distribution is different. There's a spring-loaded mass in the OBC, but I'm saying inertial terms at rest are identical. Inertial terms at rest are identical. Okay, that's the technical way to say that. What we found when we tested those three systems was that the shooter's ear suppression rating on a tuned host, meaning the gas block was tuned for the particular silencer on the gun. Okay, on a tuned host, those three systems had almost identical suppression ratings at the shooter's ear. Okay, so with a couple different silencers. So we do find that we do find the phenomenon of muzzle blast and ejection port blast coalescence severity driven by ejection port blast propagation from unlock time on the AR-15 system to be mass driven for most carriers. Okay, so a practical conclusion from that would be you just use a heavier buffer and you're probably fine. Now, if you tune the gun to have less gas, there's probably a tipping point of where you would want to stop making the buffer lighter, right? And because you could like close your gas port so much that you could use a really light buffer, but then you might not want to do that. So there is a tipping point. It's not like a linear thing. So you'd have to do experiments, and we haven't flushed that out. Okay, we haven't like done a crazy study like that because we don't have time right now, or at all. But we could. We want to fund that? Someone might. It'd be cool. Maybe when I can get this backlog down. Our backlog's so dang high right now. It's like there is a just like, I don't know. We can speak freely on this, right? This is an entertaining podcast. I can tell you that, like, it's funny. Like, manufacturers, when they have a lot of back orders, they're happy because it's like good for them, like in a monetary fashion. But at the same time, they're like stressed because it's like they got to make all the stuff. Like in a service-based company where you sell a service, like you sell hours or time, like PEW Science does. Like, because our product is time, like our product's not widgets, right? So, when our backlog gets too high, when you can't ramp your burn rate up fast enough, your personnel dies, like, figuratively and literally. So it's like, I'm straight up not having a good time right now. Thank you for the question. Question 473, sub-question 59. Is there a Goldilocks barrel length for the 556-RC2 to be quieter than a Mark 18 on the 14.5? Goldilocks barrel length for the 556-RC2 to be quieter than the Mark 18 and the... Oh, and the 14.5. Oh, okay. And so then he asks 11.5 or 12.5 where the pressure is still high to make it efficient, but also quieter. Oh, okay. Great question. So the reason this gentleman is asking this question is because we tested the Surefire SOCOM556-RC3 on the Mark 18, like back in the day in Article 52. And we saw that, did pretty good. Cool. So then, like a long time later, when we started doing 14.5-inch M4 testing, we tested the Surefire RC2 on that, and it's like it like basically did the same. We were like, it didn't get quieter. Weird. And it's because of the way the RC2 is designed. So this guy's saying, well, if I just go like a little bit longer than 10.3, but not all the way to 14.5, is there some like thing where I can get better performance? And I mean, I don't want to say no definitively. I mean, maybe potentially, but probably not, man. Maybe I want to say 11.5. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I want to tell you something right now. For all intents and purposes, the muzzle blast from an RC2 on barrel lengths between 10 and 14 inches is extremely similar. And if you really want to make a difference that for an RC2 system, if you really want to make a difference, the biggest difference you can do, tune your gun to reduce the ejection port blast. And if you do that, you're going to have a pretty dang good time with your RC2. Now, I'm going to tell you, all the gas port tuning in the world is not going to save you from getting gassed out with an RC2 under high rates of fire. I do not care. And that's because of gas stack. And what is gas stack? And why do people talk about that? And I even saw someone sent me a link to a YouTube video where this guy, he's some silencer reviewer, and someone he was told, he's like, do people understand why that changes when that, and like he didn't understand. It's like, well, guys, we've been over this. We've been over this. It's because when you shoot a centerfire, when you shoot a gun and you have a silencer on the end, keep in mind, regardless of what you put on the end of that gun, there is supersonic underexpanded flow coming out of a jet nozzle. That's the muzzle blast coming out of that gun, right? Supersonic underexpanded flow. When that hits atmosphere or the interior of the blast chamber, it is going to expand and cool. What happens when you feed it into an atmosphere that's already hot, superheated? Is it going to be able to expand the same way and cool the same way? Absolutely not. So what is going to happen when you keep shooting? You're going to change the environment immediately outside the muzzle orifice. You have changed the back pressure of the system. You have changed the expansion characteristics of the underexpanded supersonic flow. Full stop. Okay? I mean, and that's rocket science, and you can Google it. Okay? But that's what's happening. So, with an RC2, if you want to do a 30-round magnum with an RC2 and you think because you tuned your gun you're not going to get gassed out, okay, be a dreamer. But you're going to have a higher distal flow rate to deal with it. Okay? I know I went long on that answer, but long story short, sir, just tune your gun. You're going to have the best RC2 system you can have. And I tell you what, you're doing better than 99% of people. Question 474, sub-question 60. Why did you choose your particular Corvette over other sports cars? Follow-up question, can you touch on some of the recent cool options and technology? Man, you guys like super into Corvettes, and I'm not mad at that. Yeah, no, I've answered this question before. I don't really post a lot of stuff about my personal life. I've had a Corvette for a long time, 10 years. When did I buy that car? 2024. No, not 10 years. I'm sorry. It's been more like 8 years or whatever. Had it for a minute. I really like the Corvette. I always have. I think my favorite Corvette ever was always the C5. But it just so happens that if you're an engineer and you start learning about Corvettes, which engineers like to do when they learn about buy anything, if you do that, you're going to figure out pretty quick that a C6 is basically everything the C5 could be. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think the C6 is the C5 completed. Essentially, I think it is. I think the C6 has all the good stuff from the C5 with improvements that take away the bad stuff from the C5. And to be clear, I do want to say that the C6 I drive has the LS3 engine, so it's baller. And the way I have it set up, I would say, like if I had to compare it to another Corvette, I would say it's really similar to a C5 Z06 in a way. Maybe I think my car's a little faster than that just because it is, but I think that the C6 feels like a race car that you can drive to the grocery store if you want. It's a little more refined than a C5. Now, I would drive a C5 too, I think. I am not a C7 guy, never have been. And the C8, I think it looks kind of cool, but it's not grown on me. It just hasn't grown on me, so I don't know. And your other question, your follow-up question, I don't know about all the recent cool stuff because I've been too busy with PEW Science to look at my car. I barely drive it, to be honest with you. In fact, I think I'm going to take a vacation after this week because it's May. It's May, and I'm I gotta rest, guys. We've been going at a pretty good clip. 151 articles today. Come on, man. Right? It's nuts, dude. So I gotta take it. I gotta. What do the kids say? I guess they say chill. What is that other word? I don't know. It'll come to me. Thank you for the question. Question 475, sub-question 61. Gas port versus dwell time. Does it matter which you tune? One versus the other, or tune in tandem? Gosh, you guys in your rocket science questions. 1 second. Great question, actually. And this is not a rocket science question. This is actually a blast physics question. So, let me repeat it. So this guy's asking, hey, man, I'm tuning my gun. Do I need to mess with dwell time, meaning buy a new barrel to move my gas port back and forth? Or should I just change the gas port size? Or should I be concerned with both and whatever? What do I do, Jay? It doesn't matter. And my answer to you is it absolutely can matter. And I talked about this before, but and this is just an experiment one could do if one were so inclined. If you plot the pressure curve in the time domain that you are using to send gas impulse to your carrier, you will find that you can vary the amplitude of the curve, or you can vary the duration of the curve. And both of those knobs you turn, figuratively, those figurative knobs, you turn, control what we call the impulse, the gas impulse, which is the area under that curve, that pressure curve, okay, in the time domain, okay? So you need a certain impulse to actuate your carrier, right? An easier way for you to think about that is you need a certain energy. Yes? Okay. A certain gas momentum. Yes? Cool. What if I told you that front-loading your impulse curve, front-loading your pressure curve, meaning having higher impulse earlier in time by using a higher peak pressure, could be potentially different than spreading out a lower amplitude pressure over a longer duration, getting the same net impulse, because the areas of the two curves are the same, so the impulse is equal. You've equated impulse, but you've front-loaded impulse in one case, which would be with a larger gas port. Yes. At the same time, we need to keep in mind we're feeding a silencer. Yeah. So and because of it makes this more complicated because there's other things going on in the barrel too. So I don't have the answer about which is better or not, but my stance has always been a safe one. If you're adding a silencer to a gun, if your dwell time is really short, you will be you'll be in better shape than the opposite. And that could change if your port's gigantic, but I just think I'm looking at like a population scale. So I tend to, when I see guns with shorter dwell time, I say, okay, and you're a layman, go with that. And I think that buys you something, because I want to say having to spread your pressure of a longer duration to get the same impulse when you already have a silencer in the end, just to me, doesn't seem efficient. That is my conceptual take on that, and we could do the experiments if we really wanted to. I'm sorry, I know that's not satisfactory to you, but I hope that gets you thinking. Question 476, subquestion 62. Efficacy of reflex suppressor designs or tech dead end? Example, AEM5 and OCM5, AB Raptor, AMTAC. Okay, so this person's asking, how well do the rifle silencers that go back over the barrel work? Are they good? Or is it just like a dead end and stupid idea? That's what that guy's asking. To answer your question, no, it's not a tech dead end. It's not stupid. You just have to do it right. Increasing volume is really great. It really is. Increasing volume is great. Great. If you look at this in a basic sense, and you're using like a passive blast attenuator. Did you know that silencers are actually passive blast wave attenuators? And we've been studying those for a long time, and the silencer industry just didn't know what they were called. They are. Increasing volume is incredible because you get to expand and cool. It's really great, but you have to do it right. And I think knowing what to do with that increased volume is the real power here. And, you mentioned some of these silencers with like so-called large volume or so-called reflex, like the OCM5, the AM5. Like the back pressure can be ridiculous with some of those silencers. So remember that. If I was doing a reflex silencer and I had all that space, how would I manage that back pressure? Good question. I want to think about that. I'm not going to comment on any one of those designs specifically. Okay, but my answer is it's not a tech dead end. You just have to do it right. Question 477, subquestion 63. You mentioned potential threshold levels in episode 187. Is there a way to find the actual limits? Oh, you're testing my memory, bro. 187. 187 on 100. No, that's a rap song. Hold on, pewscience.com. I'm going to pewscience.com/podcast. I am Search for episode 187. He's singing gangster rap. He's unhinged. We don't like that. That scares us. It's too urban. Episode 187. Oh, PTR Vent 2 on the MP5. Oh, okay. I know exactly what you're saying now. I know exactly what you're asking. So let me repeat this gentleman's question. You mentioned potential threshold levels on episode 187. Is there a way to find the actual limits? Okay. I don't remember what I said exactly, but if I was talking about the threshold levels on the MP5 or something, yeah, the way to find the threshold limits are to keep testing. You never know when you are going to find something that pushes things further, right? If that was from the PTR Vent 2 discussion, which it probably was on the SP5 on that episode, we just tested the cat mob. So apparently the vent was not hitting the limit. And is the mob hitting the limit? Well, I don't know. But we know it goes further than the vent went, right? Oh, and that's wild. That's wild, dude. Isn't that crazy? So this question that you asked, clearly before we tested the cat mob, this is an old solicitation. We're only in question 63 of this thing. Gosh, if you asked it back then, and I mean, you did ask it back then, but if I answered it back then, I'd say, I don't know. And now I guess my answer is keep testing. And I guess that should have been my answer in the beginning. So, Past J and future J meeting in the middle. Weird. Question 478, sub-question 64. Petition to take questions somewhere other than Instagram so we don't run into character limits. Yeah, dude. I'll entertain that. That's a good idea. But hey, let me protect myself and qualify that statement. In order to hit a lot of these questions, and keep doing this, they can't be crazy long. I can't have now. And I'm going to say something. Don't get mad. If you're a pro member of PEW Science, and you send me questions via email, and they're a diatribe that's worthy of publications, it's 100 paragraphs, that's fine. It's actually fine. It doesn't bother me. It's actually cool. It shows you really are thoughtful and you really wanted to know something, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But if everyone did that for every question that's going to be for the podcast, I don't know. Are we willing to? I don't know. You know what I mean? So my question to you, sir, I'd put this back on you and say, can you succinctly ask your question within a lot of character limit? That's my question to you. No, I'm giving you a hard time. I'll be happy to entertain other options. If we want to solicit questions in a different format somewhere that's easier for you guys and more user friendly, that's fine. And let me know some ideas. We can talk about it. One of the problems here is that is quote unquote shadow banned on the gram. On our account, it says your content cannot be recommended to non-followers. It's because we put pictures of guns on there, and it's scientific research, but I put pictures of guns on there because, dang it, I think they're pretty. And for the life of me, I just don't know why it's bad. It just really bugs me because, I've had that Instagram account for 12 years or something. And we've been stuck at a certain amount of followers for 2 years now, and it doesn't make sense. And you want more people to see it so they can learn, and that's fine. I mean, our primary information distribution is the website, but dang, and this podcast. But dang, is it not so stupid that more people can't ask questions on social media because the dang social media company censors it? It's frustrating. I'm sorry, guys, about that. So maybe we should say, screw that. Let's go to. I don't want to go to Twitter. It's a pain in my butt. Maybe we just put it on the website. We should control and own everything anyway. Social media is for the birds. Just kidding. I like you guys. Question 479, sub-question 65. Oh, you guys are trying to get me in trouble. Without choosing favorites, famous last words. Without choosing favorites, what's your experience with different hub mounting options? Without choosing favorites, choose a favorite. What's your experience? I'm just kidding. It's a great question. My experience is that the hub portion that goes into the silencer has to have real branch flats, dude. If it doesn't, and it just has those stupid little notches that use one of those stupid little wrenches on it, like some silencers also have on the edges. That is so ridiculous. And they should redesign it, I think. And I don't know who thought those little, they call them spanner wrenches. Oh my God. Which is weird because the word spanner means wrench in like certain cultures, but like you say spanner wrench in English and it's like wrench? What? Anyway, the wrench with a little tooth on it that has like a crescent shape, that thing, I don't know who thought those were a good idea for anything requiring actual torque. What a dumb, because not only that, you use it and the thing on the silencer is a little sharp edge, and it's just it doesn't look good. It doesn't work well. And frankly, I think it's cheap. It's a cost-cutting measure, and it's lazy, and I think it's bad. So that's my experience with a hub mounting option that uses those. Now, let's move on to actual mounts. Okay? Look, taper mounts. Let's talk about the mounts themselves, like the muzzle devices. They fit into a hub thing, whatever. Taper mounts, awesome. Love them. Actually, you know what I really like? The Cherry Bomb and the Plan B system from Q. Actually really great, except it's not for me. Now, let me explain why. Don't get mad. I don't want to use cherry bombs for 3 reasons. This is Jay. I don't care what you used yourself. I do not care. For me, 3 reasons I don't use them on almost all guns. There are some guns I would use them on actually, but on almost all guns, the reason I don't use them. The first, they increase back pressure due to shock reflections. Okay? The shock dynamics in a cherry bomb, no bueno for semi-autos, 100%. Do not think that that's good. It's not. The second, the threads on a cherry bomb or the entire Plan B system, they're too fine. So if you ding them against something, you're screwed because you're not going to be able to put your silencer on the gun anymore. Oh, you don't believe me? Okay, well, it's happened to me. So, okay, so there's that. Third reason, there's no wrench flats on the back. So, like what? Like that's dumb. So, and yeah, I've been burned by that. So, and I know actually technically, and look, the engineer who designed it, in my opinion, he's correct that if you use proper torque to install the damn thing on the gun, it doesn't matter that it doesn't have a wrench flat. I understand. I agree with that technically because I'm an engineer too, and I cannot say you're wrong. But in practical use, they need wrench flats on the back for like 3 reasons. So, okay, because and for PEW Science because we're testing but yeah, if I was a consumer, you know, actually that does change my answer about that third point. If I was a consumer, I wouldn't care if there's no wrench flats on the back, probably. Because I would install that muzzle device with proper torque no matter what on the gun. And that would be that. And it wouldn't come off. Unless, okay, maybe I changed my answer again because maybe if you do it with proper torque, are you saying that like if you did that with proper torque and the silencer carbon locked, oh yeah, you know what? I bet if the silencer carbon locks to the gun, you would have to use greater torque than your 30 foot-pounds to get it off. Is that true? Would you have to use greater than 30 foot-pounds to get like a trash pan off a cherry bomb? If you have to use greater than 30 foot-pounds to get that off, well then yeah, that's a problem. So maybe the wrench flats are important. Quandary. Anyway, we're getting off track. I'm just telling you why I don't use cherry bombs. Now, I will say 2 of those negatives, like two of those 3 negatives, they're addressed by, you know, the third-party companies like Reardon. But I mean, Reardon copied the Q's thread pitch and taper, so I don't like that thread pitch because it's too fine. So that's why I don't use Reardon mounts. And don't try to turn this political because Reardon is a corporate member of PEW Science. I know the owner of the company. They're super cool people. I know him and his family. They're great. So I like Reardon just fine. I just don't use their mounts. Okay. I don't have to like their mounts to like them as a person. Okay. So don't get all mad. Now for my personal use, it's just too much risk for the damn the fine threads. It's not my jam, dude. Now, because I hit my rifle on stuff when I'm at the ranch, and I don't want to ding fine threads. Like if I take the silencer off and I just don't. It's not. I don't have time. I am time limited. My currency is time. I'm a busy person. I don't have time to have problems, and so when I can remove propensity for problems. I'm like, when I see something that has caused me a problem in the past, I'm like, nope, not doing that anymore. Because I don't have time. Okay. Now, I do like tapers, so I like the Huxworks mounts. Great. And part of the reason why they're great is because the silencer self-tightens to it with distal thrust. Very smart. However, the hub mount that they make, which is your question, is so super cumbersome, and like, I'm not into that. Now, Cat's mounting system, that left-hand thread, yeah, dude, like that. Been using that. I tried the Dead Air Xeno, which is another left-hand thread taper mount. It's a little longer than I think it needs to be, and it's kind of gritty too. It looked. This is just subjective. Do not get mad at me, but the ones I have are like, They don't look right. I'm not into it. You might love them. You asked my opinion, okay? I knew this was going to get me in trouble, but you asked my opinion on something instead of objective data, so I'm giving you my opinion, and you know what they say about opinions, and everyone has one, so. I like hub mount to direct thread taper adapters. Those are cool if you have a barrel for it. So that's cool. What else do I like? I like direct thread in general. So if you have a direct thread mount for a hub, that's great. I love those. What other hub things? I'm sure I'm forgetting some. I think Rugged makes one now. I like the Rugged mount. Maybe I'd use theirs. I do like the Rugged mount. Maybe I'd use that. Maybe I should buy one of those. The Rugged mount. Because I like the little M2 brake, the little tiny baby one. Yeah. Maybe I should buy one. How much length does that add? Not a lot. I need to buy one of those and mess with it. Okay, so there's that. Thanks for asking these questions, because I didn't even think about that. What else? I don't know. No moving parts is always great. So, getting to understand. That's why I really like those left-hand thread taper mounts, because getting a silencer unstuck is super easy. And, for folks like me that test a lot of silencers and might not torque the mount down all the time, all the way, I have to remove and reattach things a lot. The left-hand taper is a good convenience for that. So that's maybe not an answer you would pick, but it's an answer that I would for me. Hope that helps. Okay. We're going to do another one. Let's do one more question just because. What 47 minutes? Yeah. Let's do another, because my next topic is just an intro topic to the RC3, so it's not going to be crazy. So we can do one more. Okay. Question 480, subquestion 66. Many citizen scientists dislike titanium for 556 and 308 suppression. Is this a valid claim in 2024? Good question. Citizen scientists. That's a funny term. I know you're joking, but I do want to actually correct you and say that there are citizen scientists like me, and frankly, there's a ton of real scientists and doctors and engineers and other technical professionals who use PEW Science and are PEW Science members, and I would not lump them in with meme pages because I know what you're talking about. And those meme pages, guys, you got to be so careful. They're anonymous people on the internet that say things without any consequences if they're wrong, and when they get something right, they have perceived credibility. They have no downside and all upside, and that is dangerous as hell. They do not put their money where their mouth is. They have no risk. Do not deal with people like that. You're going to have a bad time. Does that seem logical to you? Would you do that in life anywhere else? Of course not. Now, do I like memes? Absolutely. Do I make them? Is the sky blue? Okay, I've been known to be a part-time meme lord at times. No, just kidding. No, but I do. I mean, memes are great. It's a great joke format. I love jokes. I'm a big comedy fan. I think humor is important, and if you don't have any, that's a problem. So meme pages, I know a lot of great ones because they're hilarious. But if you're getting technical, scientific information from them, you need to really reevaluate your life choices, guys. Okay? I mean, guys, come on. You don't know who those people are. I mean, yeah, they could be PhDs or they could be vagrants. I mean, you don't know who they are. So, on the subject of titanium in centerfire rifle silencers, the the claims that it's not good, it's those claims are incomplete and they're spurious. They technically have no basis unless the claims are accompanied by specific reasons and use cases. Okay, so material alone does not create a system. I think we can all agree, yes? So be careful what you get from anonymous social media accounts on Instagram and forums and things like that. Okay, now, with regard to durability and sparking, which are the two primary negative things to talk about when you talk about titanium, yes, if the particular system does something you don't like on the particular platform you are using, yes, valid complaint, fine. But if it doesn't, the complaint's invalid. So I think you need to determine your use case and see what you're doing with the system and what the particular silencer does and what it doesn't do. Because I can't just say, oh, titanium bad. Like that's dismissive and irresponsible and ignorant. So what is the most dummy-proof thing to do? Don't put a titanium rifle silencer in an AR-15. It's dummy-proof. Is it a hard and fast rule that is always applicable? Absolutely not, dude. But remember, it's a dummy-proof answer. If you're a dummy, there's your answer. But if you listen to this podcast, you're not a dummy. I know that. Because you wouldn't even... If you're listening to this podcast, you can't be stupid. Because you're listening to this, which means you're smarter than a lot of people. I guarantee it, dude. Trust. So, maybe you don't need a dummy-proof answer. Maybe you need an answer that says, it depends. Firing schedule. Barrel length, silencer type, blast baffle shape, mount type, ammunition type. There's a lot of things that could change the answer for the end user. You need to understand temperature, and when and how that temperature is changing governs your choice of titanium use on centerfire rifle. Okay, case in point, if you have a Mark 18 and you're shooting all day class with it, and you have a titanium rifle silencer, perfectly fine. If it can hold up to what you're about to subject it to. Thunder Beast Dominus, excellent example. Titanium silencer, made well, looks cool. Sacrificial steel brake that it works with. Would you mount that without that brake? Absolutely not. You break that silencer super quick. Do they warrant it to meet the SOCOM firing schedule tests with their sacrificial brake? Yeah, it's on their website. Okay, that's one example, right? And that's titanium. That's fine. Okay, what about a Dead Air Nomad TI? You put that on a Mark 18 with a direct thread mount. What's going to happen in that same class? You're going to break your silencer. Okay. They're both, but Jay, I thought you said the other one. They're both titanium. I don't you see how stupid it is to like say I don't like titanium. It's like, well, okay, that's fine. I don't like blue cars. It's like, but if I had but if someone was like, hey, you want this blue Dodge Viper? I'd be like, absolutely, I do. I mean, I really don't like blue cars, but if someone gave me a blue Dodge Viper, I'd be driving a Viper tomorrow. Okay, so I don't know if that analogy even works. I'm tired, but I hope that answers your question. If you really have more questions about that, email me, tech@pewscience.com. Okay. I'm going to highlight that row. We are going to highlight that row. We'll pick up next listener questions episode with that. Okay, thank you so much for entertaining everyone. Okay, I'm going to close that. Boom. Excellent. Okay, let's move into the long-awaited topic 2 at a time of 53 minutes and 51 seconds. Okay, man, there's going to be people who tune into this because, they're going to see RC3 and they, oh my God, we had to wait 53 minutes until he started talking about this. I'm upset about this free podcast that I had to listen to. I'm sorry, you're so mad. Don't be mad at me. Topic 2, sound signature review 6151, the Surefire SOCOM556-RC3 on the standard 10.3-inch Mark 18, 2 mounts, 3-prong and closed-tine WARCOMP. Did we get the same old conclusion that we always get with when we do WARCOMP tests. No, we didn't actually. It's fascinating. So this is going to be I'm just going to do an introductory, broad, non-technical topic on this podcast for the white paper that's published with today's episode. Okay, because I feel that this needs a proper introduction because of the historical value. Okay, one second. Okay, and I'm going to do it, and this is why I chose to do it. So that's what I'm doing. So it's an interesting one, and I'm gonna. I almost wish I could do the technical talk now, but we don't have time, so we're going to do it next time because it needs a full episode for it. And like I always do, I like to let the data percolate for about a week, so everyone can get their emotions out of the way. And then once all the emotions are out of the way, I find that everyone can understand technical discussion more easily. Okay, that's one of the reasons why we do the format of the podcast and review structure like this from the laboratory for the public. Okay, and I will say that this is an interesting one. First of all, I do want to thank all of you for your patience. We finally tested this silencer a while back. We've actually tested it several times. We've done a lot of test programs with the RC3. And, we've been very busy with a variety of contracts and other things. And in the midst of all of that, we cleared room on the schedule to finally get this research study published for all of you. It's a very in-depth study, and there's a lot of complex analysis in the article. And frankly, I did think that it deserved it. My goal is to always get it right. Very high standards for myself and for this effort. I'm serious. And with the RC3, I know there's a lot of eyes on this, and I wanted to be triple sure about everything, and I want to make sure the conclusions are actionable, as always, and I hope we did this justice for you guys. Okay, I really do. I worked really hard on this, guys. This was a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of man hours on this. I don't know if people really understand what this takes to do. And I think the fact alone that no one else has done this before, I think does that show you, like, if this was easy, everyone would be doing this, and no one has. So just keep in mind, okay, and this is made possible from internal funding. Okay, the members paid for this, so this is a big deal. And I'm telling you, this research, like all of our Surefire research, is completely internally funded. In total, I do believe there are 13 Surefire tests published on our website. That's right. This brings the total to 15. Because this research, of course, contains 2 tests in it. That's right. One for each mount that was used. That's 15. You're going to have 15 sets of testing and analysis on Surefire silencers after today in the public research pedigree. Okay, that's 15 more sets than anyone else has ever published, because to our knowledge, no one on the planet has done this before publicly. And the only people who have done anything close to this are government labs. And after seeing the reports, let me tell you, PEW Science members are about 5 steps ahead. So do not worry about that. I don't even want you to have that. What do the kids say? FOMO, fear of missing out. Do not worry about missing out on the government tests. It doesn't matter. You're so far ahead, guys. You're light years. Do not care. So for 15 reports, not counting the internal PEW Science testing that the public's not seen and may not ever seen, like, all of this is made possible by contributions from both consumers and corporate PEW Science members. In fact, the RC3 silencer we used for this test program was loaned by a company, brand new. I had to reach out to that company and tell them that we damaged the RC3 cosmetically during our test programs. And I take responsibility. This was due to the mount collar getting stuck and us using a tool to get it unstuck. And we had a mandatory schedule flow and I personally was unwilling to compromise on our schedule. And so I alone am responsible for the cosmetic damage to the test specimen. I take full responsibility. In that photo I'm posting with the podcast today, you're going to see some wrench marks on the silencer mount collar. It'll buff out, right? Yeah. No, it's really just cosmetic. But I did want to highlight this because I do want people to know that the silencer was received brand new, and some people really care about that. And I want, and this is a technical article, and there's a lot on the line here. I mean, this is a big deal. because the conclusions this is a big deal. Okay, so I just wanted, I'm full transparency. Okay, now this is not a technical talk. We'll do it next week. Today, what I want to do, I just want to give you a flavor of what you're going to see in the article. I want to talk about the silencer and its performance in a general sense, and maybe talk about its place in the market a little bit. Okay, one second. Okay, so we'll start with that. Now, and as everyone who has been following silencers for the past 2 or 3 decades knows, Surefire ended up carving a niche for themselves in the rifle silencer space due to military contracting. Bravo. They really are not a silencer company so much as their silencer division has just grown considerably, and they do manufacture a lot of silencers, and that's really great. When you talk about suppressing the AR-15 weapon system, which is a cornerstone of the public PEW Science research pedigree, you will no doubt hear or read about the RC2 series, correct? Now, just like the RC series that preceded it, the RC2 is on a lot of guns, and a lot of folks like to use them, regardless if the silencers themselves are appropriate for their use, okay? They see the military use them, and they say, hey, I want that. It looks cool. I want to be G.I. Joe. Hey, go get them, soldier. Like, bravo. Like, awesome. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Cool. Looking cool is part of this. I get you, dude. Like, I'm with you. I like it. Cool. Now, I am not saying that the RC2 series doesn't perform well. It's actually a matter of public record and silencer history that PEW Science has shown the RC2 to be a great performer on the Mark 18, for example, right? And the testing and analysis we published is congruent with user experience worldwide. Okay, it is actually, I would go so far as to say, it's actually one of the pivotal PEW Science success stories. To this day, nobody has refuted one single piece of data or analysis on our website, and certainly not the Surefire data analysis. I'm not seeing anything conflicting with it. Like data for data, analysis for analysis, I have not seen. I've not been sent it once. No one has contacted us once. So that if there is something, tell them to email me or call me. So when Surefire was planning to release the RC3, we knew about it. Don't you think we knew? We did, dude. We knew. We knew about the RC3 for a very long time. We were invited to the launch event of the RC3. But I was participating in a research symposium. I was unable to attend. Didn't go. Whatever. After the RC3 was launched, we got an insane number of requests to test the silencer. I don't know what it is. Surefire brand's powerful, dude. The amount of traffic and desire for Surefire test data is insane. That's Surefire. That's not PEW Science. It's Surefire. So fine. Typical PEW Science fashion, we did it for you. We immediately got one. I think we got it. We got an RC3 pretty quick. So, and I think a lot of you guys know where this is going. I mean, since Surefire is so popular, and since there's so much hype for the RC3 after the success of the RC2, there's been a lot of talk about how it performs. Obviously, you know that should happen in a free market. So after all the marketing and the sales and the influencer smoke cleared, all that stuff, the real users have shot these. Yeah. And folks have posted videos of flash, for example, and folks have talked about sound. And I'm here to tell you, the data and analysis we are publishing today is not surprising at all. It shouldn't be. If you've been keeping track, I mean, and I'm going to come right out and say it. Simply put, the RC3 is a much lower performer on the Mark 18 than the RC2. And it's a reality. And nothing anyone says is going to change that answer. And we tested the RC3 several times. We get consistent results. We've seen performance issues in the design of the RC3. We do believe them to be design driven. We read all of the marketing you guys read. We read about the supercomputer CFD modeling. Fine. To a lot of people, that might be exotic. To me, I'm sorry. To me, that's just running down the hall to one of my colleagues to check on the model he's running for me. Guys, I've worked in this field for almost 20 years. I told you again and again, all models are wrong. Some models are less wrong than others. I'll die on that hill. Okay, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So in this review, you're going to see the RC3 try to keep up with the RC2 on the Mark 18. You're going to see it stumble out of the gate on the first shot. You're going to see that happen regardless of mount. You're going to see the typical consistency you see from the RC2 series. You do get that, okay, but it's going to be more intense. Why? Because of the way it's designed. And you're also going to see that they really did make the thing flow faster. They really did. But because you're PEW Science students and you understand this, you're going to see the obvious result that severe muzzle blast totally tanks shooter protection due to the way they increase the flow rate, guys. Oh, we've been here before. And I'm going to say something now, and I don't mean anything I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm going to come out and say this. If this was not a Surefire silencer, there wouldn't be anything groundbreaking to talk about here. But because it's Surefire, we went ham. We went so deep and so technical in this one, knowing how many eyes are going to be on it just to make 110% sure people understand this is real. There is nothing more that I could do to show you the performance of the RC3 on the Mark 18 unless I took an RC2 and an RC3, kidnapped you, put you into a black van, took you to our black site, dumped you in a field, told you to shoot a case of 5.56 with both and report back. That's the only thing I could do other than the article that I'm about to publish for you. Now, is it a terrible silencer? Absolutely not. It's definitely not a terrible silencer at all. And we're going to talk about the positive and negatives next episode, okay? But until then, just know, and I'm sincere when I say this, I am thankful for the opportunity to do this for you. I'm thankful for your support to make it happen. I'm thankful that every time we do this with the Surefire silencer, Surefire doesn't hate us too much, at least outwardly. No one likes it when you call their baby ugly, dude. And I'm not going to call this ugly, but I'm going to inspect it with a fine-tooth comb. I'm going to tell you if it needs a bath or not. That's just, your baby might be dirty, dude. I don't know. By the way, guys, look, remember, and this is important, remember, closed-tine muzzle devices. Burn, 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 burn. It's like alarm bells going off in your head. Remember that thing that happened on social media like a couple of months back in which Surefire came out and said that the use of closed-tine muzzle devices may influence the performance of the system in unintended ways? Do you remember that? I remember that. I screenshotted it. I was like, what? They said that? That's crazy. And I screenshotted it. Guess what our test data shows? Oh, snap. That's right. Remember when people were getting huge fireballs from the first shot through the silencers? Guess what our data shows? Wild first shot behavior. Weird. Yeah, it's all there, dude. It's all real. Go read it. Print it out. Put it on your pillow. Put it in your refrigerator. Absorb it. And guess what? PEW Science members, you get a ton of data and analysis in this one. It's really a member-centric article, frankly. And it should be because you could pay for it, right? You did. Podcast listeners, all of the vocabulary we have been building over the past 4 years in the technical discussions is about to be used, so buckle up. You're going to need it. It's all in the article, dude. We're going to be back next week to explain it all in typical podcast fashion. Okay, so I would ask that you stay safe out there. Be merry. Look at the data. You're going to need a beer for this one. I'll talk with you folks again soon. Buckle up. All right, bye.